You're scrolling the feed well, without any pretension, just trying to distract your head after a tiring day when, bam, a guy in sunglasses, a basic t-shirt, and that giant watch on his wrist appears out of nowhere, recording a video in the parking lot of a luxury car that is clearly not his. He speaks confidently, gestures as if he were the CEO of Wall Street, and utters the phrase that flashes through his brain like lightning. I can teach you how to get rich in 30 days. The fund, a shining yellow Lamborghini, the kind we see on film, ... rented by the hour, obviously. The video cuts are quick, the background music is intense, and each subtitle comes as if it were a military order. Wake up! Stop being mediocre. You're wasting time. Then, without realizing it, you pause and think, what if? Because, let's face it, video is hypnotic. There's that Hollywood aesthetic of overcoming the guy walking slowly towards the camera, throwing impact phrases that seem to have been taken from a fortune cookie. And, of course, the final promise, never work for anyone again. At that moment, your mind already starts to spin the trailer of your millionaire life. You imagine trips to Dubai, expensive watches, dinners in restaurants that don't even appear on Google, total and absolute freedom. It's almost like going into a trance. There is only one small detail that he does not mention. All this feed glamour is more fake than a $3 bill. None of that was achieved with brilliant investments. It's marketing, pure staging made to provoke exactly what you're feeling right now. And without realizing it, you've already fallen. It entered the funnel, ... but it's not the sales funnel of stocks or secret get-rich-your-own strategies. It is the funnel of your time, your money, and, above all, your patience running smoothly down the drain while you think you are starting to change your life. A few days go by, and now you follow the guy on all platforms: Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Twitter, and even that Telegram channel that he swears is exclusive for those who really want to change their lives. Every single day he appears in the stories drinking coffee in a chic penthouse that, obviously, is not his, but he makes it seem like it is. With a serious look and calm voice, he throws pearls such as, if you don't have the right mindset, you will never have financial freedom. You watch, reflect, and even begin to repeat some phrases in your mind as if they were verses, but soon he begins to notice a somewhat strange pattern. He never shows a spreadsheet, never explains a single risk, never mentions any real market index. It's all motivational, all on the basis of believe, visualize. Don't listen to the losers. You try to absorb some practical content, but each video is just a catchphrase show with epic music in the background. And the worst thing is that, in the beginning, it even works. You feel a strange energy, a temporary gas. But after a week, when you look at your bank account balance, remains exactly the same, not a penny more. And the only thing that increased was his anxiety, which has already risen by about 300%. You wake up with the feeling that you are late in the race for financial freedom, even without even knowing what the starting point is. And here comes the final blow. He says that this is all happening because you haven't yet bought the complete $997 training, the only one that will unlock the true potential of your mind. In other words, such freedom never comes. But the boleto, this one arrives punctually, with date, time, and interest included. Now, you are officially inside the closed WhatsApp group, the one he calls a selective community for future millionaires. The name of the group even has a fire emoji and a graphic going up, just to give that feeling of urgency and exclusivity. At first, you even think that you will finally receive real tips, spreadsheets, strategies, and some kind of content that really brings you closer to the long-awaited financial freedom. But no. The guru appears from time to time, usually at dawn, just to utter some chewed phrase like success is for the few or money attracts money, as if you were an enlightened sage who discovered an ancient secret. The rest of the time, the group becomes a museum of prints, supposed students saying that they doubled their revenue in 2 weeks, messages like my business exploded after the mentoring, and photos of bank statements with values that look more like a phone number than an account balance. Then you try to take advantage and politely ask, what assets do you recommend in this current scenario? The answer? A 3-minute audio in which he basically says, forget the technicality. You need to believe more. The universe rewards those who have faith. It's like walking into a 5-star restaurant, ordering the most expensive dish on the menu, and receiving, instead of food, a photo of the dish and the worst. As you have already spent some money on that initial course, you start to think that the problem may be you. You get into a guilt spiral, thinking that you are not being positive enough, that you may not be manifesting it properly, that you need to adjust your mindset. But before continuing in this marathon of empty promises, how about following content that really delivers value? Sign up here and start learning real finance with no ready-made phrases and no Lamborghini for hire. There comes a time when you get tired of just watching and decide to finally get your hands dirty. After all, the guru repeated more than 10 times in that free webinar that action generates results. Then you take a deep breath, open Module 3 of the course, and start following the tips. He released with an air of great revelation. Invest only in assets that you understand. Never depend on a single source of income. Diversification is the key. Sounds sensible, right? Phrases that even make sense. But here comes the detail. It doesn't explain what these assets are. It doesn't show how to analyze. It doesn't talk about risk, volatility, fundamentals, valuation, nothing. It's like someone saying you need to eat right to be healthy, and leaving the room without saying what you can or can't eat. Still, motivated by the videos, you decide to give it a try. He opens the home broker and buys some completely random stocks, chosen basically because he said in the stories that it was the perfect moment in the market. You hit the buy button almost trembling, thinking you're officially entering the club of serious investors. The next day, you wake up looking at the graph on your cell phone with your heart pounding and see minus 15% right off the bat. In a week, the loss continues to go down and you become desperate. So he decides to turn to the group and asks, "Guys, I'm falling. Do I continue or see?" The answer is always the same, almost like a robotic mantra: trust the process. No numbers, no explanation, no strategy, just a virtual slap on the back and another motivational phrase. That dream of profitable and intelligent investment dies before you even understand how it really worked. And the worst, with you still thinking that it was your fault for not having a mentality. If this has been or is your case, comment, "I've been through this" below, so I know I'm not telling this story alone. After a few months in this seemingly endless cycle, something begins to become very clear, and that's when the penny finally drops. The guru's real business was never investing. It has always been to sell courses. You realize that all those motivational videos, the stories and the fake coverage, the inspiring prints, and even the WhatsApp group work like a perfectly assembled machine to get you to buy the next product. Everything it offers for free is not content, it's just bait. A carefully thought out tasting to make you believe that the next course, the next exclusive method, the next advanced training is what will finally unlock your financial life. But that next one never comes. You become, without realizing it, a loyal subscriber to a Netflix of promises that never premiere. The difference is that on Netflix, at least the movies exist. Here, it's always the trailer for the big release that is changing the lives of thousands, but that curiously no one ever sees. Every week, there is a revolutionary new training a product with a name in English and a cover with a fire and a graphic up, and of course, always accompanied by the phrase, "If you really want to take your financial life to the next level, this is the time to invest in knowledge." And then you look back, do the math, and he realizes that he has already spent more money on courses, mentorships, and exclusive groups than on any real investment. Meanwhile, your profitability remains at 0%, your anxiety at 200%, and the guru, she continues to post stories with champagne in the pool. The conclusion is painful. The only one who got rich in this process, it was him. The penny really drops when you realize that the same guru who yesterday was selling an exclusive mentorship to open businesses from scratch appears the following week offering a miraculous cryptocurrency course. You blink and, suddenly, he's selling digital marketing training. 2 more days and another program has already emerged on importing products from China without leaving home. With each new theme, the narrative is always the same. This is the definitive path, the most current method, the great opportunity of the moment. And then it is impossible to ignore the obvious: this guy is not an expert in absolutely anything. The only thing he masters perfectly is selling hope to those who are desperate for a shortcut. You look back and start taking a mental inventory. Everything you invested time, money, energy, expectation was gradually drained as if you were paying an invisible subscription to keep dreaming. And it wasn't just the money that hurt, it was realizing that, during all this time, you stopped studying real content, learning about the market from serious people, taking small and consistent steps, all because he was trapped in the illusion that there was a ready-made package of wealth, a secret formula that only the enlightened gurus knew. And then comes the final blow. You realize that you have fallen for the oldest trick in the world, the one that says that wealth can be bought like someone who buys a movie ticket. The truth is that there is no magic formula, there is no three-step method, and no one will do the work for you. While you believed in promises packed with epic songs and photos of luxury cars, the only person who really got rich, he was the one who sold you the dream. At the end of this whole journey, when the hype goes down and reality knocks on the door, you realize that there are only two possible options. The first is to continue exactly the way it is, scrolling through the feed and following any guru who comes along promising quick fortune, hoping that one day, by some kind of miracle, that promise will finally be fulfilled. It's easy to follow this path because it feeds a comfortable idea that you don't need to change anything, just wait for the right shortcut to appear. The second option is much less seductive, but infinitely more true. Open your eyes and start studying for real, with serious sources, with people who show numbers, data, results, and, above all, risks. People who are not afraid to say that investing takes time and that financial freedom does not come in 30 days. It comes with consistency, discipline, and much less glamour than what is seen on Instagram. And there's the point. The choice seems obvious, but most people prefer to continue believing in fantasy. Because it is painful to admit that you have wasted time and money. It is painful to assume that he fell for such an old trick, but it is precisely at this moment that you can turn the tide. So, what will it be? Will you continue to live on rented Lamborghini prints and recycled catchphrases? Or will you finally get behind the wheel of your real financial life and drive down the path that really makes sense? Watch now the video that is playing here on the screen.